Okay, so thank you for joining us today. This is Black Hippie Lounge. I'm your host, Chanel. And today we have a guest. His name is Mike Kelly. He's the owner of Right Path Enterprises. So thank you, Mike, for joining us today. If you can tell listeners just a little bit about yourself and why you agreed to connect with the podcast.
Yes, Chanel. Well, thank you again for having me. It's great to be with you. Yes, I'm Mike, and I am in Cincinnati, Ohio, originally from South Carolina, but I've been in Cincinnati a while. And what I do in Cincinnati is I'm a the board director for profit and nonprofit boards, a number of them, and I'm also an executive coach. So I coach leaders around the country to help them be better leaders and also to improve the results of their organizations. In addition to that, I'm a certified financial planner. So I love helping people make smarter financial decisions so that they can achieve their purpose and the things that matter most to them in life. So that's what I do from a financial planning standpoint. But I do those through Right Path Enterprises, which is my executive coaching firm. And my wife also works in that firm as well. And I also do the financial planning through Kelly Financial Planning. So that's the other side of the business.
Okay.
And in addition to that, I also do some training as well, group training in organizations and also community type groups. Why did I say yes to being on your podcast? I listened to some of the episodes, and I will tell you, you are doing a wonderful job of giving people hope, letting people know that they can achieve goals that matter, certainly to them, but also they can support the larger world, because the world desperately needs leaders who believe in themselves, but also who have a heart for serving other people. And I love the work you're doing. You are really working to lift people up. And in my opinion, that aligns with my personal values as well. So that's why I said yes. And thanks again for the invite.
Oh yeah, no problem. Thank you. Thank you for that. That's I like to hear that that I'm doing something helpful to other people. So you own the Right Path Enterprises company. Can you explain to listeners what your business offers?
Yes. So Right Path Enterprises, as I said earlier, we offer executive coaching, life coaching. We also offer life planning to help people get clear on what matters most to them and then develop a plan to achieve that. And part of that is a faith walk. I was on a call with a friend of mine yesterday, and behind him on his wall, we were on Zoom, he had IF, and it was immense faith. So we certainly got to have faith as we take these steps, but sometimes we need support to help us along the way. And we provide that through Right Path Enterprises. We focus on helping people lead themselves well, improving performance and results. And if they have other people who report to them, we support them in getting results through others, helping them help others grow so that people can perform at a higher level and improve results of organizations or communities. And that's what we do there. And we do that. We've got some tremendous training tools, but we've also got a process that is used for executive coaching that is quite good. One I created myself based on my own journey, which we can certainly get into. And on the financial planning side, I'm a little bit unique in that I offer hourly, fee-only financial planning and advice and project-based. I don't sell any product. I don't receive commissions from brokerage houses or mutual fund companies. I charge my clients an hourly or project rate for my services. That allows me to be unbiased and objective and do what's in the best interest of my clients. So that's what we do. That's what I do. And I also do a lot of speaking. I enjoy speaking. I enjoy my story. And I also enjoy hearing the stories of others.
Nice. Thank you. So what made you become involved with helping people grow their business?
I noticed over the years, I was in corporate America for a number of years with Michelin and Macy's, but a lot of the work I did in the community, I was around a lot of business owners. And also in corporate America, I saw that there were a number of people who were, they're actually moonlighting. They were doing something on the side. And I found that a lot of times they were struggling. And the struggles often revolved around, how do I manage my time well so that I can get everything done? And then when they made a little money, I found that they struggled to know how to deploy those assets or invest those assets in a way that they could grow their business, but also ultimately find freedom, for example, to get away from corporate America, run their own businesses full time. If they're running their businesses, scale over time. So I saw that opportunity, and then I had a business on the side as well, and it was a struggle for me. I experienced that. I actually almost worked myself to death, which is part of my story, Chanel. I was just grinding, driving, burning the candle at both ends, and was headed towards anxiety, depression, and under severe stress, headed towards depression. So God got my attention, and He shifted me, and I realized that I needed to live more on purpose rather than just driving and striving for something I hadn't even defined. I hadn't defined success. And I realized that a lot of people around me hadn't either. So we were chasing something that wasn't real in many respects, or maybe wasn't right for us. So I saw that. And when I decided to leave Macy's, I was a vice president with Macy's. I had a team of people spread out across the country, but I walked away from that in 2016 to do what I do.
Okay.
And I realized that, after what I experienced personally and seen others experience, there's an opportunity here for me to live up my purpose by serving others.
Okay. Thank you. So what types of programs and services do you offer to people looking to start or grow their own business?
Well, the first thing we do is get clear on why they want to start and grow their own business. And you probably know this well. Business ownership can sound sexy, can sound like the cool thing to do, but it's a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
I think the media sort of dresses this up to make it sound like everybody should be a business owner. Well, everyone shouldn't be a business owner. What we want to do first off, Chanel, is to determine whether or not a person is wired to be a business owner, because it takes hard work and money doesn't just roll in.
Right.
So we spend some time up front getting clear on the why. Why do you want to do this? Is there another way to do this other than business ownership, or is now the right time? So we spend some time going through a sort of a life planning process. How will this business help you achieve the other goals that are more important to you than just this business? Because you know very well, and I'm sure all the listeners know this, when you think about a wheel of life, your firm or your business is just one piece of that. You've got your family, you got your faith, you got your fitness, managing your money well, you've got friends. So how do you make sure you're allocating time to all these things? So building a plan can help us get there. I heard this quote by a lady named Germany Kent, and the quote goes, "No plan plus no action lead to no results." So we start by building a plan. And once we build that plan, we know what the goals are, then what are the steps that we need to take over time? And I help them get clear on that. And I also introduce my clients to various resources. Like there are a lot of free resources out there, Small Business Development Center. You've got different state groups that help, and there are a number of retired executive associations where they provide free counseling. You've got the Urban League. You've got all kinds of organizations that provide support. So we want to take advantage of those organizations and that type of support as well. In addition to continuing to learn, I challenge clients to don't stop learning. Be a lifelong learner. Read everything you can get your hands on, including the Bible, and make sure that you're continuing to grow so that as your business continues to scale, you're growing with your business and you're not working harder than you need to in order to make this thing successful. Then ultimately, as they start to add people, we get into how do you lead your people well? That's a big part of this as well. But then I'll go back and talk about structure. There are many ways to structure a business. Certainly a sole proprietorship. You can incorporate LLC or S Corp, that's a sort of thing. But we get into those types of conversations as well. So we're able to do more of a strategic approach to this. And then we get tactical as we move forward.
Okay. I love that. So you're an author as well. In your book, Leaderfluence, you guide readers on topics like setting and acting on meaningful goals. How can people act on goals even when they face many obstacles and things don't seem to be working?
Well, that's a big part of growth, right? Things aren't working. We have the most success. In my opinion, we experience the most success when things go wrong, when we fail. So we got to be okay with failing. But when things go wrong, we've got to step back and take another look. Are my goals clearly defined? There's a quote by a guy named Paul J. Meyer. He says, if you're not making the progress that you would like to make and are capable of making, it's simply because your goals aren't clearly defined. Or you're not patient enough, I would add as well. And, you're not trusting enough in a higher power. But I would say around goals, what I do is we help people set goals the right way. When we set goals so often, we tell people you're told to set a SMART goal: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time bound. And so often we do that. And then we stop. There's so much more. I challenge my clients to think about the losses to be avoided the things to be gained from setting this particular goal, whatever it might be. Say if a goal was to lose a certain amount of weight, what are the things to be gained, the losses to be avoided by doing that? Then what I challenge them to do is to take a sheet of paper and put 2 columns on the paper. One column is for obstacles that will present themselves. The other is for solutions for each of those obstacles. So I challenge clients to think about the obstacles that will present themselves. Well, if it's losing weight, it could be, I like honey buns, or I like hamburgers, or whatever. So you list all those things, or I don't have support, or whatever. And then in the solution side of that, what are solutions to those obstacles? So we want to think up front about obstacles, because no matter what we do, even you running your podcast and doing the great work you're doing, you got to expect things to go wrong.
Right.
Think about it up front. When they happen, where it's a little bit easier to navigate. So they go through that. Then I challenge them to write down action steps. What steps are you going to take, by when, and who's going to hold you accountable? So then we write action steps with dates that relate back to that goal. And then I challenge them to think about success, affirmations. I have lost 15 pounds. I have lost 20 pounds, and I feel great. Write those things down, and even get a picture of yourself when you were smaller and post it somewhere, visualization, so that you can see yourself there. And then over time, as you're making progress, you want to measure, you want to track that progress, but you also want to celebrate the success that you will experience. And then that's going to motivate you and give you the energy that it takes to tackle larger, more complex, more challenging goals. Failure is not final. Right. Failure is just one of those, I would call it one of those small bumps along the way. And when we fail, if we learn and we approach it properly, we can grow. So that's what I like to walk clients through. And I also share my own journeys with that, because it took me hitting the wall myself in order to start to get some of this stuff. It didn't just happen. And I still have to remind myself as I'm on this journey when things don't go right.
Yeah, that makes sense. I love that too. Like, kind of preparing them for potential mishaps so that they're not panicking when it does happen, and kind of already having that, at least somewhat of a plan in motion, like to keep them going. So I like that. What influenced you to write Leaderfluence, and who do you suggest reading it and will benefit from it?
So what motivated me to write the book was because of my own journey, and I shared a little bit of that with you. I'm a first generation college student, went to college, and I got a business degree, came out of college, grew up in South Carolina, poor from a resource standpoint, but I had a wonderful life. But I really had to work hard to navigate various avenues, and I didn't have an understanding of how to navigate them. So that led to me putting a lot of pressure on myself and trying to figure things out that challenged me to fail and learn. And I did have people come around, supported me. My parents certainly supported me, aunts supported me, uncles and others. And I also had people in the university who supported me, a university that I was just finished the term as chair of the board there, which is a whole nother story. But anyway, going through all these things, failing, and then getting into corporate America. And as I worked in corporate America and I got more responsibility, there weren't a lot of Black people. There weren't a lot of people who looked like me. I'll say that. I had to I put a lot of undue pressure on myself to really be excellent. What I considered being excellent and being successful, working hard. So I worked hard, and I got to the point where I gained 30 pounds. I wasn't sleeping very well. I was working 40, 50 hours a week, and I actually 50, 60 hours a week, but I was quote unquote having success, hadn't defined success. And that led me on this path of becoming stressed, headed towards depression.
Right.
And I kept running to the doctor. I remember when that occurred. I was running to the doctor. I was like, "Hey, doctor, my head aches. I can't sleep well." He kept giving me things. It did not help me. Finally, he said, "We got to scan your head to make sure you don't have any medical issues there." So they did. There was nothing, but he said, "You're under severe stress, headed towards depression." God got my attention, and that led me to step back and refocus and partner with a couple of people. And one of the things I realized was I hadn't defined success for myself. Success at that point for me was about pleasure, prosperity, power, prestige, position. And that's not really what I wanted, but that's what everybody else was going after. So that's what I was going after. But I realized success for me is becoming all God designed me to be. So through all that, I realized that we've got to take more of a strategic approach to life. We got to begin with the end in mind. When we hear strategic planning, it's often around business.
Right.
What if we thought about that in the context of our lives? What if we began with the end in mind? What if we realized what we were led to believe that's leading us down the wrong path? And what if we started to question those things? And what if we got a picture of what we wanted life to look like at 100 years old when we were looking back over our lives?
Mm-hmm.
And what if we then started to get an understanding of what our purpose is? Each one of us has a purpose. And then develop a mission statement around that.
Mm-hmm.
Very few people have a mission statement, something that if someone woke them up in the middle of the night, they could repeat it. And this is in my book because I didn't at the time. So I've created a mission statement since that time, which is use my God-given leadership, analytical, financial skills to help my family and others grow to become all they're designed to be, while continuing to grow myself. All my goals evolve from that, and the Faith, Family, Fitness, Finances Fund from Friends Areas of Life, and my action steps relate to those things. And I'm able to do what I just talked about from a goal setting standpoint. And I put all that in my book. So this book is for anyone who's looking to achieve their full potential, anyone who's looking to live on purpose and help others do the same. The world needs all of our gifts.
Right.
This book challenges us to take more of a strategic approach to life, as opposed to being directed by the media and all the other mixed messages that we have on TikTok, Facebook, all these places that lead us down paths that we might not necessarily want to travel.
Mm-hmm.
It challenges us to think and still have faith, trust, but move forward, understanding that we each have a purpose and that will be fulfilled.
Right. No, I like that because I feel like that's what I talk about on the podcast too, like knowing your purpose and what makes you happy and what's for you versus like you said, doing what society tells us makes us successful or is going to make you happy. So I love that. What about supporting and working with clients inspires your passion to do your work? And how do you stay motivated in growing your organization?
I stay motivated by celebrating the success of my clients with them. We're on a journey and I can see people shifting and they're changing, they're hitting milestones, and I'm able to be a cheerleader. It just pumps me up. It makes me excited because it aligns with my mission, helping others grow, become all they're designed to be. I get joy out of seeing people achieve things that matter to them, and then they go support other people. That to me is what this is all about. And the more I see that, the more it is a reminder to me that I am doing the work I'm supposed to be doing. And that I love doing.
Yeah.
And one of the things too, when it comes to time, being able to invest my time in this in a way that allows me to really give people the time that they need and deserve is something that I love. So being able to run my own business, being able to set my calendar, being able to use my time as a real resource so that I can go deep with clients and teach them to do the same thing. So it's just really helping people achieve success. And sometimes it takes time, but we want to enjoy that journey while we're together and not just let it be. Even when it's hard, we can still enjoy it because we know there's a bigger purpose, a bigger picture that we're after.
Right. No, I love that, especially like the idea of still enjoying it, because I feel like sometimes when you have a goal, you can kind of get so focused on completing it that you don't even enjoy the journey of getting there. So that's important. What advice can you give to a business owner looking to create a business plan that allows growth?
Well, I would say do some work up front, again, on why you're in this business. Why do you want this business to grow? Because every business doesn't really need to grow. But why? Why do you want this? And what will it take to get there? So why do you want it? What will it take to get it? What will you do when you get it? Who's going to hold you accountable for getting it? But start to think through some of these things up front. And that's part of the planning process. And sometimes once you've built a plan, you want to go back and revisit that plan because things do change. And I would encourage people to hire a coach. One of the things that helped me in a huge way was hiring a coach and having someone walk with me on this journey and hold me accountable, because it's easy to sort of get in a corner and put your head down and figure a lot of things out yourself and then realize you've traveled down the wrong path. A coach can share his or her insight with you, maybe resources, tools, relationships that'll make things so much easier. The other thing I would say is that as you're thinking about scaling or doing something different with a business, find a group of people who can serve as maybe a mastermind. Challenge your thinking, share with them what's going on, and then they can maybe speak back into it and share things with you might not have thought about or you might not have known. I was with a young man this morning who is running a startup, and he is looking to scale his startup. He's at a seed round now, starting to get investors, but he's thinking about some of these things. We had a wonderful conversation. I invest in small businesses, so I've been exposed to some of these things, and I was able to ask him certain questions, and we just had it was a fun conversation. So we're going to get back together, and we're going to continue that conversation. But he reached out to me, and we spent a little time together. I know his parents, and I'm excited about what's possible for him if he stays on this path. He's humble, he wants to learn, but he's passionate about what he's doing, and he knows that he doesn't know it all. So I don't know if I answered your question, but I just think it's so important, Chanel, to learn from other people. And I listen to podcasts, you have one podcast that I listened to several times, and you were talking and you had music playing. You didn't have a guest. You were just sharing. And I thought it was beautiful. It was extremely well done. Yeah. And I learned a lot from that. So we can learn from each other.
Right.
Where we are, how old we are, how young, whatever, that we can learn from each other.
No, that's true. Thank you. And I like how you said about the part of the guy that you spoke to, like not knowing everything. Because I feel like sometimes that's important too, to realize that we don't know everything and to be open to learning. That just expands you to be able to grow as a person, but also whatever it is that you're doing too, like your art or your business or whatever it is that you're doing. I feel like if you are kind of closed-minded and think that you already know everything, then you've already kind of, stifled yourself a little bit, because there's always room to grow and there's always going to be things to learn. So I think that was great too. What obstacles?
Chanel, can I share one thing around that? Thank you for that. Listening, being able to listen to other people is a great way to get an education.
Right.
Listening, I heard this quote that goes, listening is a reward you get. Listening is a reward you get for a lifetime of listening when you would prefer to have been talking. So if we listen to people and we ask questions and we're students, we can learn so much.
Right.
That's part of my story. That's part of why I'm talking to you today, because I've learned from so many other people. I just wanted to throw that in. Listening.
No, that's true. Thank you.
Is so important.
Yeah, no, for sure. So what obstacles did you face during your path of becoming a business owner yourself? And what resources did you use to help establish your business? And what resources can you suggest to listeners?
Yeah. So some of the obstacles I faced was primarily, I had never run a business, so I didn't know what it meant to start a business. I had no idea. I just had this desire, this dream. I wanted to be a business owner. Yeah. One of the things I did was I devoured books. I'm a reader. I constantly read. I go to the library. I check out books on entrepreneurship, on starting a small business, on financial planning, on leadership. I read everything I could get my hands on. That was where I started. I would listen to podcasts. I would listen to interviews on YouTube. I would just, wherever I'd go to seminars. Then after I started to get a feel for, okay, I can do this, I went to the Small Business Development Center, spent a little time with them. I went to a group called SCORE, and it's a Society of Retired Business Executives or something like that. But they offer free resources and coaching. Got involved with them, started the process of building a business plan for my executive coaching firm and my financial planning firm. At the same time, started to build those. I started to join associations. I'm a member of the Garrett Planning Network for my Financial Planning Association. I'm a member of the Financial Planners Association, the National Association of Personal Financial Advisors. So I started to plug into groups on executive coaching side, executive coaching groups. I started to plug into them. And then I would talk to people who were already doing what I wanted to do. Right. And I'd ask them, how'd you get there? And a lot of people would share, and they would help me. They connect me with other people, with various resources. And then I would spend time with those people. But one of the things I did was every day I carved out time to learn something and to connect with people and to plan. So learn, study, read, listen to things, connect with someone over coffee or lunch. And I did this when I was working, when I was a leader at Macy's, VP at Macy's. Every day I had a lunch or breakfast on my schedule with someone who didn't work at the company. So I'd meet someone, network. And then the other thing I did was I would, in the community, I was around a lot of people as I volunteered with the Rotary Club and Chamber of Commerce and these other organizations who were business owners already. I would pick their brains. I built a plan and I just followed the plan. Right. I think there was a lot of faith involved in that too. That's because I failed and I questioned whether or not I could really do this. But then I started to have some success and I started to celebrate that success. I was thankful. I started to build on that. And one thing continues to lead to another because I'm not there yet.
Right. No, that's true. And I feel like what you said, faith is definitely important in that, because even if you were to start a business and it goes off really well from the beginning, you still have to have faith that it's going to continue that way, right? And even have faith in yourself when you do hit obstacles, because I feel like that's almost unavoidable. You're going to have some type of obstacles that come your way. So yeah, I think that's definitely important. Thank you for sharing that. Can you share a closing message to listeners about any future projects and where they can find you?
Yes, yes. Future projects. So for me, I'm thinking about writing another book, and this book will be focused more on life and money.
Okay.
So that is the next thing I'm doing. I'm doing a lot more speaking. So I'm out there certainly speaking. But as far as where they can find me, and also I'm starting a community class here locally on improving performance and results, getting a group together to take them through a 4-month process of improving their performance and their results, not just at work, but in life. So I'm doing more and more of that. Where they can find me, you can find me on most of the social media platforms. I'm on X, I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me on my websites, Kelly Financial Planning or Right Path Enterprises, like Take the Right Path. And then there's a tab there for Leaderfluence, my book, where you can order my book. If you order it there, I can sign it and ship it to you directly. The book can be found on Amazon and a lot of other places where books are sold.
Okay.
But I am really glad that you had me on today, and I'm glad that you're doing the work you're doing, because you've got an audience that really needs you, and they need the people you bring on. And I think that when it comes to purpose and making a difference, you are doing that. So I just want to encourage you to keep doing it. And I want to encourage the listeners to think about the places where you live, work, and play. What is your purpose, and how can you live on mission and do the things that Chanel's modeling and that I'm still on the journey of doing personally.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mike. Thank you for being able to come on as a guest. I feel like a lot of the things that you shared with listeners, they will really appreciate. Feel like definitely I took some notes and some gems that you dropped for me. So yeah, I think this was a great interview. And again, thank you for coming on. I will post the episode on YouTube and usually like on TikTok and Instagram. I'm not sure if you have Instagram, but I'll still make sure that I share information so that people can find you. And I'm trying to think of I don't really have any other closing messages besides just, thank you for what you do. And I hope that you continue to do more work. I feel like, you have already done so many things, and just the things that you share today are very influential, and for people of all ages, really, but especially our generation, like just being able to have people like you to look up to that have kind of created this path for us to follow, or at least just show us that it is possible. I think that things like that just make it easy for people like me to keep going too. So thank you also for, being open with your journey and being willing to share.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. And thank you again for having me, and have a just a wonderful day, and keep doing the work.
Thank you.